Okay, so jumping into chapter 1. Chapter 1, we start today with patterns and expressions. We will talk about properties of numbers, algebraic expressions, solving equations, solving inequalities. It's just a lot of kind of miscellaneous Algebra 1 review. Okay? So, and some of this I would say even pre-algebra, before Algebra 1. So let's look at example 1 and see what we can figure out. It asks us to look at the figure. And it's asking for what is the pattern, and then what is the next figure in the pattern. So as we talk about this, being able to put it into words is a big thing here. Because I know putting math into words is not always the easiest thing. So, thoughts as we look at the pattern in example A. What are you thinking, Lorna?
It adds a side each time.
Adds a side each time? Do we see that? You could look at it and say, okay, there's a triangle, square, pentagon, but what do you really need to notice? 3 sides, 4 sides, 5 sides. What's that mean my next one's going to have? 6 sides? What's that called? Hexagon. Can you draw a hexagon?
Not well.
I'm not saying I can draw it well either. So, unfortunately, So I'm going to attempt an effort at a hexagon here. Doesn't have to be perfect, right? Mine is far from perfect. Mine's lopsided, but...
Mine looks like a vase, so...
Okay. Here's the idea. I'm looking for an attempt, right? Obviously, in Math Excel, you're not going to have to draw the figures. That's something more you might have to do like on a quiz or a test. But we're looking for a six-sided figure. And what about all 6 of those sides? Do they look all the same-ish, right? Supposed to. There's the key. Take what it's supposed to mean. As you look at this triangle, this square, or this 4-side object, and this pentagon, notice they're what we call regular. Okay? So, now, how do we put this into words? I think Lorna said adding a side each time, right? Okay, I'm trying to see, what have I... Okay, so based on the fact that they do all have the same length of sides, I don't know if you remember from middle school the word regular polygons, or maybe do you guys talk about that in geometry?
Yes.
I don't know. Geometry, I have taught most math courses, except I've never taught geometry. So that's one that I don't remember exactly what all you guys learned there, but remember, regular means all sides and angles are the same. And so you can write your description how you want. I'm going to say it's regular polygons with the number of sides increasing by 1 each time. So the idea of adding a side each time. So regular polygons with the number of sides increasing by 1 each time. Okay. You put it in words how you want to put it in words. I would encourage you, obviously, the notes are for your benefit, yes? The notes are for, as we get into that tricky stuff, that you have something that you can have beside you as you're doing homework. They'll help you through it. Okay, so I'm trying to give you some examples here of what you could use. Everyone got something? Now, I forget, you guys are the kids that don't know me. Tell me, how are we doing on seeing the screen? How much of a glare is there? There's probably a glare in some spots, I know. And can we read it? Is my color ink pen choice okay? Because here's what you guys have to tell me. I'm not out there. If there's something you're struggling to read, I picked up, too light of an ink pen, or because there's a glare, and I know there gets to be a glare from the lights. I can deal, if there's a glare from the window, we can put the blinds down the rest of the way. Which I think it's more, if you're getting a glare, it's probably from the overhead light. And there's only so much I can do to control that. So, I do turn the lights off sometime, but we'll leave them on for right now. So yeah, communicate with me if there's an issue, okay? If I forget to move on the screen or something, tell me. Okay. In the midst of all that talking, did you guys start looking at B?
Yeah.
I don't even know how to describe those without sort of giving you an answer. So, thoughts? Okay, adding a square to each side every time.
Adding 4 squares.
Okay, so we're going to be adding 4 squares total. Okay. Yeah. Exactly. How do we put that's half the battle here, isn't it? How do we put this into words? Okay, so probably the harder part is actually to draw it. So let's try and draw this. So notice there's a square in the center, right? And basically you add one set of squares, or add a square on each side. Then you add another set of squares on each side. Then you add another set of squares on each side. So to draw ours, we're going to have a 4th set of squares on each side, if you're going off the middle square. And let's see, I'm trying to remember how I do this. I think I try and shortcut it, and it sometimes works, sometimes doesn't. They don't always come out squarish looking, but you know. The point is you have a center square, and when you draw that next figure in the pattern, you have 4 squares coming off of each side. Short on the top. But okay, put it into words. Right? You've got to have something, you've got to be able to write this down. We talked about there being a center square, right? What were you going to say, Kylie?
Regular squares being added to the edge.
Okay. And each time we're increasing by, I was going to say 1.
Like 1 per.
Yeah. I was looking to see. I always try and look because I always have a set of notes up here. I'm trying to see what I've written. And we've said lots of good things here. So I have a center square with a square added to each side, increasing by 1 each time. Okay. Obviously, you know, it's something to get that point across. And if you say you're adding 4 squares each time, I get that too. But it's adding a square on each side. So I'm going to write something. You write something. I'm going to say a center square. And I know a couple of people said regular. I'm not using the word regular just because a square by definition is 4 equal sides. Okay, so I don't necessarily have to use the word regular there. If I said quadrilateral or something, I would. But a center square with a square added to each side, increasing by 1 each time. And again, you guys are familiar with Math Excel, or most of you are. I guess I shouldn't say all of you because I'm not 100% sure that everyone's used it before, but most of you guys are familiar with Math Excel. Are they going to have you type a description like that in there? No. They might have you maybe pick a description. Honestly, I don't have Math Excel set up ready to go this year. I'm running behind, so that was supposed to be done last night. It's getting done tonight instead. But with that in mind, be able to put it into words, be able to think about it. When I do a quiz or a test, my quiz and test are handwritten, so you will have to do that kind of stuff for me, and I'll review that. So, okay, questions there? Okay, let's look at example 2 here. This is more about looking at the patterns and kind of looking ahead. But as we look, notice it says, how many lines are in the 20th figure? How many lines are in the 20th figure? Noting that this is figure 1. Are we understanding that? This is figure 2. And that's number 3. Okay. Now, we talked about how many lines. That's the overall question we're trying to answer. And some of you are looking at ways to come up with that, right? There's definitely different ways to look at that. Notice it does also say to use a table. Okay. And so you will see in homework some, and definitely I always throw one on the end of the chapter test. they will ask you to use a table with a process column. And so I'm going to take you through that, and some of you are going to say, oh my gosh, this is a long way. However, it's good when you get stuck on problems. Okay, if it's something that you get stuck on, you're just not sure of, it will definitely help here. So, as I am going to set up a table over here, my table is going to have 3 columns. The middle column is always the process column. Let's see, I'll do the right column. The right column, what is it we're looking for? We're being asked how many lines, right? So it is the number of lines that is a number sign, yes. Not just hashtag, it's a number sign. And then the left column is, okay, what's our input? Number of lines is our output, so to speak. That's what we're trying to find. What is our input? Well, we're based on trying to find the 20th figure, right? So our input is the figure number. Like, what figure number are we on? Okay, so I have figure number on my left column. Middle column is the process column. So that's how we get from figure number to the number of lines. And then the right column is the number of lines. So fill in the information we know. We have figure 1 here, yes? What do you know about figure 1? Has how many lines? 4 lines? Agreed? We'll come back and talk about process column in a moment. Okay, what do you know about figure 2?
8 lines.
Think of it as 8 lines, yes. And what do we know about figure 3? 12 lines. Now, my question to you, how are we getting from the figure number to the number of lines? Multiply by 4?
That's what I meant.
Okay, and it's not just how are we getting from, yes, we're adding 4 each time, but do we want to have to add 4 enough to get up to figure number, what is it, figure number 20?
No.
That one wouldn't be too bad, but what if I ask for the 100th figure? We don't have to do something over and over, right? But look at the connection here. Figure number 1 times 4 happens to equal 4. Figure number 2 times 4 happens to equal 8. Figure number 3 times 4 happens to equal 12, yes? Okay, so let me be a little more vague here. What if I say, and homework will do this for you, how many lines are in the nth figure? That is the letter n, as in the variable n. So how do we figure out how many lines are in the nth figure? Notice we're always taking the figure number and timesing by 4. What is n times 4? 4n. Good answer. So I know it didn't ask for it in this question, but in homework you will see that some. And so if they ask you for something about the nth figure, that's what you're talking about right there. Let me zoom in so we can see that some. Okay, so beware. If they ask you for the nth figure, or whatever variable they use, put an n in there. Now, what did this question really ask us for?
20th figure.
And some of you are saying, oh my gosh, you're finally there, Mrs. Sargent. Forget the fact I had the answer before you ever started talking. Okay, what do we do with 20? 20 times 4, and so there are how many lines in the 20th figure? 80. You're going to get the silly math mistakes out of the way now, right? Okay. Do you see how I set that table up with the process column? Okay, just being able to put that middle column in there that shows how does the left connect to the right. Okay, what's the math being done? And that allows us, so now if I say, okay, how many lines are in the, 199th figure? Do you have to add 4 all the times up to get up there? No. Okay, we have a process there that we can use. Questions? Okay, let's look at the next example. Got 3 new shapes. How many tiles are in the 25th figure? And again, it says use a table, so it's going to be use a table with a process column is what I'm going to ask you to do. So I said a table with a process column always has how many columns? 3. The middle column is the process column. And generally speaking, I can say the left column is your input, the right column is your output, yes? Output's probably easiest. What are they asking us to find? Yeah, it's how many tiles. So I'm going to say number of tiles in my right column. On the left, what's my input? What are we given? They're asking how many tiles are in a certain figure, right? So eventually it's the 25th figure. So my left column is just going to be the figure number again. Okay. And I keep using the word input and output, so beware of those words. Those are good words to know. I always recommend I label. These are figures 1, 2, 3, yes? Okay. What do you know about figure 1? Has 4 tiles. Easy enough. And again, I'll worry about process later. Right now, I just need to get my information down. What about figure 2? What about figure 3? 8. Okay. So eventually we have to get up to the 25th. But the goal is I'm not going to label 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 all the way up to 25. The goal is I want to process. I want, if I ask you for the, 1 millionth figure, you're not going to stress about it because you're going to have this nice, easy process you can follow. Because I know right now some of you are like, oh, I'm just working my way up to the 25th figure. But that's not what I want you to do. Any thoughts here? Okay. I agree the number of tiles is going up by 2 each time, right? So does that make sense that somewhere in here there's going to be an adding 2 maybe? However, can I just add 2 to the figure number? No, that'd be too easy, wouldn't it? Okay, I can't just say 1 plus 2 because that 1 plus 2 is 4. 2 plus 2, that's 6. Not 6. 3 plus 2, not 8. Okay. So other thoughts here besides just the adding 2? Noah?
It's the figure number multiplied by 2 and plus 2.
The figure number multiplied by 2 and plus 2. Okay, let's try it. So the figure number is 1. So he's saying that we're going to do 1 times 2 and then plus 2. Does that work there? Now, do we just assume it always works? No, you've got to keep checking, yes? It's going to work every time. So this time it's figure number 2 times 2 plus 2. 2 times 2 is 4 plus 2 is 6. That works. Okay. Figure number, so 3 times 2 plus 2. Does that work?
Yes.
Yeah? Okay. Now, did you just happen upon that with trial and error, or did you have something more? Just curious.
Just thought about it.
Just played around with it and it worked.
Yeah.
Okay. And that's sometimes what it is. I will say, though, the fact that these are increasing by 2, was that a definite that we need a +2 in here somewhere? Yes. Okay, that is, and then from there, it's okay, he figured out he had to multiply by 2 to make it work. Okay, so what if I say, how many figures are in how many tiles are in the nth figure? What are you going to have to do? Okay, so we're going to take n times 2 and add 2. Now, I wrote that the way I've been writing all the others, but when we say n times 2, what do we write that as? 2n. So we're going to say that is 2n plus 2. And again, did it ask for it here? No, I just don't have it written in. But that is the nth figure. Sorry, can you guys read that? And what did they really ask for? 25th. So what'd you guys do? 25 times 2 plus 2 is 52. So that is 52 tiles. I don't know about you guys. Yes, it took a little bit of work to find the process. And yeah, I could have added 2 several times to get to the 25th figure, but now I have a way to find that millionth figure when I ask you that one, right? I'm going to write it on here just so it's in writing. I keep throwing the words out, but this left column is my input column. This right column is my output column. Okay, again, you've been working with those words input and output for years, right? That's nothing new, but just throwing those words back at you there. Okay. One more example set. I'll darken my dots so you can feel confident. Is that where you thought the dots were, maybe? Okay. So, the graph shows the cost of a certain fish at a pet store. And there are 3 questions. How much do 6, 10, and 20 fish cost? Now, in the effort of practicing for what we're doing in this lesson, and being able to make a table with a process column, I'm going to take the hard route here. We're going to make that table with the process column. Or the long route, maybe I should say the long route. So, let's make a table off to the right. How many columns? 3. What do you know about those 3 columns? Okay. The one that takes no brain power to figure out, middle is the process column, right? We know that every time. Thoughts about the others? Okay. We're going to be trying to find the cost of fish, right? So the cost of fish, what we're trying to find is the output. Good. What's my input? Yeah. When it's saying how much do 6 fish cost, 10 fish cost, 20 fish cost, they're giving you an input, right? They're giving you a number of fish. And so that is my input. Okay, write down what you know based on those dots. What's that first dot represent? 1 fish, $2. What's the second dot represent? 2 fish is $4. And the third dot? 3 fish is $6. Do you see a connection?
Yeah.
What's the connection? Yeah. This one's more obvious, more like the first one, isn't it? Okay. If only they were all like that. But the idea of 1 fish times 2 is 2. 2 fish times $2 is $4. And 3 fish times $2 is $6. In keeping with my theme of what I've been doing all day, what if I ask you for the cost of N fish? How much do N fish cost? 2N, because the number of fish is N, times the $2 each, so 2N. Another way to think about this, and I have it written in my notes, which makes me think it might come up in homework. Again, as I said, I haven't been in Math Excel yet to get it ready. But what are we doing with the input each time? We're going to take the input and we're multiplying by 2 to get the output. So again, just trying to reinforce the idea of input and output. So input times 2 equals the output. And I guess we should actually go answer those 3 questions, shouldn't we? How much do 6 fish cost? $12, because 6 times 2 is 12. How much do 10 fish cost? 10 times 2 is 20. And how much do 20 fish cost?
$40.
Yeah, 20 times 2 is 40. Not that I necessarily think anyone would try and extend that graph that far. However, you could, right? I'm going to go with much easier to realize my process is times 2 each time. Depends what kind of fish we're talking about here.
This is a fish this big. You don't
What
have
a
to
fish is $2.
Can I get goldfish?
Well, like I say, if are we thinking like pet store fish here? I think like pet store when I think this problem.
That's what I think.
Well, actually, it said pet store now that I think about it. It said pet store.
No one's gonna sell fish this much if it's a pet store.
You'd be amazed.
Yeah, if you're filling a pond, I guess you really wouldn't go to a fish.
The more fancy
Yeah,
fish,
unless you're getting like a koi.
Yeah,
if you get
exactly.
goldfish at like 99 cents.
Okay, so goldfish 99 cents. I'm sure that you could buy a $20 fish too. You know, I mean, the fancier the fish, more expensive. Okay, real quick. I'm going to go ahead and write tomorrow's homework on here. Because tomorrow's homework will be to do lesson 1.1 in Math Excel. Okay? So that will be tomorrow's homework. So tomorrow, my plan is to come in here. You're going to have your iPads ready to go. There's going to be charge to them. You're going to have them with you. All this is going to work perfectly, right? We're going to check out Schoology. We're going to get signed up for Pearson Realize, which is the textbook, in case you ever need to look at the textbook. And we'll get you signed up for Math Excel. And then once we get you signed up for Math Excel, any other remaining time would be work time to work on this assignment. So I wrote this down, but it won't be due until, what, Thursday? Yeah. Okay. Questions that I need to answer? Yes, Lorna?
When are we going to be able to